Hi there, and welcome to a heavyweight episode of Head to Head. Graz, Austria is home to strong things. Among them, Arnold Schwarzenegger, my former governor, and of course, the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. Now, since they've refreshed this vehicle a few years ago, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Justin Bell and I drove a G65, that's the V12 version, from Copenhagen up through Arjeplog, all the way to the Arctic Circle in Sweden. A little while ago, we put a G63 up against the new supercharged Range Rover in an episode of Head to Head, and the G63 won. What I've learned is that the combination of a body-on-frame, 2 solid axles, and 3 locking differentials makes this perhaps the ultimate production off-road vehicle on Earth. I don't think there's anything that can compete. Of course, I may have spoken too soon. Meet the 6x6. I think it's safe to say that G63 here doesn't have a prayer. I'm driving the Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6, which from here on out will be known only as the 6x6. I think it goes without saying, this thing is frickin' cool. First impressions. Well, if you've driven a G63, it's immediately familiar to you. Yeah, it's a little taller up, but you get in and you notice, looks big on the outside. It's a little cramped, but very comfortable on the inside. If you've driven like the AMG version, then you've noticed the Designo leather, the steering wheel's the same, the center stack's the same. I still have got my 3 buttons for the locking differentials, and it just kind of feels like, your regular G-Wagon. Except it's totally not. And you start to notice a few different things. Like, for instance, there's no radar cruise control. In fact, there's no cruise control at all. They actually pulled the stock out. And then you start playing and you realize, wait a second, there's no backup camera. And you might laugh at that, except that this is a 19-foot long vehicle that's 7 feet wide and nearly 8 feet tall. Backup camera would be nice. So then you start to notice this stuff up here, and this is very different. I've got an auxiliary fuel tank, which I activate by hitting this switch here. Then you've also got this. I can turn on the compressor. It's going to get loud. But this lets me inflate and deflate the tires. And I can do the fronts by themselves or the 4 rears together. And it's really a huge compressor. It works very quickly. So you can go from 0 bar, in other words, no pressure whatsoever, up to 2 bar in 20 seconds. It's incredible. And now we got to go over the numbers, because they're crazy. Horsepower, 544. A regular G-Wagon can drive through about 1.5 feet of water. This can drive through over 3 feet. Instead of 3 locking differentials, this truck has 5. This doesn't drive like a truck. It's not super lurchy. It's quick to accelerate. This thing weighs over 9,000 pounds. Yet it'll hit 60 miles an hour in less than 8 seconds. And that's where the money is in the axles. Speaking of money, I should tell you that as it sits, this truck costs 455,000 euros, or $625,000 US at the current exchange rate. Why do we have to drive this car? It's a head-to-head, right? I understand. Okay. Right. So, now I'm back in the regular flavor G63, which obviously it's a very cool car still. Just like all the G-Wagons, you get some things like the locking and unlocking of the doors, which is one of the very coolest sounds. And in the regular G-Wagon, you get the sound of 5 rifle bolts instead of just 4 like you do in the 6x6. Aside from the superior sound of the door locks, other advantages to the regular G63 are this. It's faster. The 6x6 is limited to 160 kilometers an hour. This is more maneuverable. It's quicker. It stops shorter. It's probably better on gas if you care about those kind of things, and doesn't cost as much. But the biggest problem I have with the regular G63 is that it doesn't fly. And we're here at the Magna-Steyr Proving Ground, where I am steady state limit handling the AMG 6x6. The secret to smoothing out the ride on this is to go faster. Lock the rear diff real quick, fly up this hill. Bunch of boulders, no problem for the 6x6. Oh, look at that, just goes right up. Unlock the front diff for my descent. It's a very easy vehicle to do incredibly extreme things with. That's my big takeaway. Push a button, 2 buttons, and you just go. And you go over anything. Like this really vibrating stuff. So, here at the Proving Ground, it's interesting comparing this to the G63. And we know that the G63 is a hell of an off-roader. I've done a lot of off-roading in that. I've driven that thing to the Arctic Circle. It's an incredible car. I think the difference, and at least in terms of the obstacles here, is the G63, the regular one, will do it. The G63 6x6 will do it a lot easier. It's just so... nothing is going to slow it down. It'll just go over or crush or kill whatever's in front of it. So it's one thing to drive a super truck, such as a 6x6, in a controlled environment like a Proving Ground. It's another thing entirely to take it out into nature. In conclusion, look, the G63, the G-Wagon, hell of a car. I would love to own one. But the 6x6 is a dream. It's an impossibility. Unglaublich, as the Germans like to say. I can't believe they actually built the thing, and I totally can't believe they actually let me drive it. It's a fantasy vehicle come to life. It makes no sense, yet I want it more than anything else. Which is why the 6x6 totally wins this week's head-to-head.